is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday. What is it, May? It's May 27th from Sarasota, Florida. I'm Seth Johnson.
From Powell, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
Welcome to the HomeTech Podcast, a podcast about all aspects of home technology and home automation. This week, I've completely forgotten what month it is, which explains pretty much what's gone on this week so far. But hey, we've got a couple of new things to talk about in the HomeTech Headlines. But first, guys, I think this is kind of like a big deal. I think we need to talk about this a little bit. Our industry trade magazine over there, CEPro, it says, hey, go ahead. It's cool to mount that TV over that fireplace. It's not a bad thing to do. And there's a 7-minute read, like, I don't know, 900-word article about how here's different ways you can mount that TV over the fireplace. And yeah, I don't know what to think. I mean, Gavin, you have a TV over the fireplace. At least you've admitted to no. He's like, oh no.
No, I don't. No. Listen, don't throw me under the bus. Don't throw, and I never ever thought it was as bad until I joined the hub and I heard everybody complain about TVs over fireplace, but don't throw me in there. I side mounted mine. It's in the corner using a corner mount. I'm good.
All right. Well, this article is just, I don't know. It's got, I don't even know what to think about. Like the pictures they have, it's not great installs of it and everything. The solutions they give you is like, hey, install this big mantle mount thing, which is it's a nice mount thing. If you've got to put a TV over the fireplace, I suppose that's one way of getting it like lowered down into a viewing angle. I don't know. I'm not a fan. If you can't tell, I'm not a fan. I know why people do it, because it just seems like, oh, we should put that TV there as a big blank place, and we don't have any artwork, or we don't have a big mirror or anything to put there. It's just the wrong place in the room. It's not weighted right there.
You know what? To be fair, though, like these developers need to stop making these rooms and putting the fireplace in the most inconvenient spot. Like they put the fireplace in the spot where the TV would look the best too. Right. So, I mean, in the end, you have no choice because that's where you want to put the TV, but there's a fireplace there. So we'll just put it above the fireplace.
Yeah, this is a heavily requested install for my company. A lot of people want to install their TV over the fireplace simply because it is the only spot in the room that it makes sense to install a TV. I go into a lot of houses where the room is just odd shaped. Or you have, windows on each side minus one of the walls. So you don't really have any options. And I think people are just obsessed with putting a TV in every room at this point too. So that probably doesn't help. Like, when you have an 82-inch TV in the basement and a really nice sound system, do you really need a 55-inch TV above the fireplace upstairs? Not all the time.
Well, I mean, if you need that new LG 55-inch OLED TV, where is it going to go?
Above the fireplace, And you know what's going to be great on that LG TV? Tuning into the fireplace channel while I have my fireplace on. Right.
Yeah. So we have fireplaces here in Florida for some reason. I have no idea why, because it never gets cold enough here to actually have a fireplace running. But I can see it where you guys are, where you'd probably need a fireplace at least parts of the year, maybe like they're actually usable, but here they're just a design consideration. And yeah, it's a big blank place, over the top of the TV. So I can see why developers will think, oh, well, we'll just put we'll put that there over the top. And I don't get it. I would rather prioritize the room for the TV, like what you're actually going to do in that room. And if it's watching a fireplace, okay, prioritize the room for that fireplace. If it's not, get rid of the fireplace. Like, focus on the TV and put like a heater or some other kind of heater in the room that actually warms the place up.
Well, new houses have this thing called HVAC where you can like put heat all over the house. So I would wager that like the majority of people that have fireplaces, at least in my area, don't even use their fireplace. It's more of a decorative item. People hang stuff off them or it just looks nice.
I feel like it's like a legacy thing, right? Like
it's like a dining room. Nobody uses a dining room at this point, but every house still has a dining room.
It's great tool to get rid of evidence, though. Like fireplace is perfect for that.
I don't think you should be doing that with your fireplace, Gavin.
I mean,
It works.
Incriminating.
All those downloads.
Oh man!
You know, this article, it's annoying because if you go on Reddit and you go to the TV too high subreddit, it is hilarious. Everybody there just freaks out about TVs being too high. The only thing that I was confused about this article is they mentioned like the small box that you can route wires through, a cable routing box. I think they just mean like a low voltage, like an LV1 or something like that. Because I've never heard of a cable routing box.
Or maybe like that wider Panduit stuff that exists that where
maybe?
you can. But I don't know how you would do that on. Like that generally goes like up and down. It doesn't go around a mantle or around a fireplace box or whatever. Like it doesn't. That's not what it does. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing to talk about.
It just seemed like a giant fluff piece that Mantle Mount paid for.
Yeah, it very well could be that. I don't know.
I don't see the advertisement thing on it, but it definitely seems like that.
Maybe just take the fireplace out and put a TV in would be the better route to go. Like, I don't know. I'm looking at all the. I'm now on this TV too high thing, and I'm just looking through all these, just shaking my head because they're just absurd. And I feel like this whole fireplace thing is just kind of a legacy thing that just it got built into older houses, so I guess we have to have it in this house now, like the dining room, and we don't actually need it because we have modern technology, fireplaces or other kind of like boiler heaters or whatever that could be used.
Well, in certain times it makes sense to mount it higher, like the one we live in like a small condo apartment thing, and we have our living room TV mounted up relatively high. And I'm not going to post it in the group because I'll probably get flamed for it or something, but it's only up that high so we can see it from the kitchen as well. And it doesn't hurt our neck or anything when we're watching it on the couch. So I'm not that bothered by it. But there's many reasons why you would mount a TV up high anyway. So I don't completely dismiss it, but most of the time you don't need to mount it that high.
In some of the bigger houses I've been in, even if they didn't have a fireplace and we were just like mounting it over a piece of furniture or something like that we typically did mount them a little bit higher in that, like that shared living room / kitchen, whatever, family room, kitchen, whatever they call it. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense because if you're sitting at the bar at the kitchen or you're just cooking or something in the kitchen, you look over, you want to be able to see almost at eye level that. And it kind of has to like float in between those two use cases most of the time. And I'd say more, at least in our house, more of the time am I standing in the kitchen watching the TV than I'm actually getting to sit on the couch these days. So it does make sense to mount it a little bit higher in that case. But I don't know. Here we are in the year 2022, and our trade industry magazine is a proponent of mounting TVs above fireplaces for whatever reason. And yeah. Oh, wait. Spencer Greenwald is the vice president of marketing and e-commerce at Mantle Mount. So there you go.
Yeah, he wrote the article, but why is that not counted as an advertisement? Like,
and so like the next time it's going to be like, it's okay to have 7 gangs of, and it's going to be like the Leviton wall plate guy is the one writing the article. It's okay to have 7 gangs of light switches in your room.
We could even custom paint them for you.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. Well, I guess, yeah. It doesn't seem the right fit. I don't know. Like maybe that's not the right solution. Maybe the solution is just to get rid of the fireplace.
So just so nobody has to read this article, the only time it's acceptable to mount a TV above a fireplace is with a mantle mount.
A specific one by this guy.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this article.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's okay. Your neck doesn't really hurt that bad. There won't be any heat problems, which there are, but whatever. The mantle definitely does help with that, but if you have a fireplace running and a TV over the top of it, it gets hot. I've been there.
I did not know they had a motorized version for $2,700. That's a great advertising piece right there.
Well, now you know. All because of this nice little advertorial here, I guess, in CEPro. So yeah. All right. We should probably move on and away from this. A little bit of follow up here. There's a note here. I don't know who it's from. Let's see. It's from TJ saying, I just got Hey Sonos. So did you get that? Did you update?
I did not. So I updated the app and I updated my speakers, but no update for me. But somebody posted in the Sonos subreddit and said that they got it with the new 14.8 update. You cannot use it with Google Assistant, but supposedly you can use it with Amazon Alexa. So you can have both voice assistants enabled at the same time. That's pretty cool. I use Google Assistant in my house, but maybe this will allow me to use Alexa as well. But no, I don't have it yet. I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things they said that, we've kind of known they wouldn't be able to do with Google Assistant and the Hey Sonos at the same time.
Yeah, they're having a little tiff right now. So.
Just a little. I mean, Sonos keeps winning, so I don't really know how that's going for Google, but oh well. That's pretty cool. So they must be doing some kind of like soft rollout, to kind of see how well it goes, to test the servers. Spin
and they said it would be out for everyone by the 1st. So it totally makes sense they would start doing this a week before.
All right. Well, I have some like information that I would share, but it was shared with me under NDA and then reminded like, oh yeah, I probably can't share that. So we'll have to wait till after the 1st, I guess, after this thing's officially out, to kind of like talk about some of the features here of Hey Sonos that we didn't quite like touch on so much inside of when they did release it. So there's some cooler things that we'll have to get to, and I'll just tease the show, like tease the future. Hey, and after the 1st, maybe we'll talk about it. I don't know. We definitely have to come back and talk about our Sonos Sub Mini predictions and see what we paid for him if we don't delete that card again. Gavin.
Sorry. I won't touch the interface again where we store our notes.
This is a little trigger happy. He's like, we can delete this. wait, no, don't delete our bets.
We gotta know who's right.
Yeah, it's our bet. I think we bet something. I forget what it was. Yeah. Anyway, moving on here, guys. What do you say we jump into these HomeTech headlines?
Let's do it.
Best Buy reported it had sales decline across almost all categories, with the largest drivers on a weighted basis being computing and home theater. Imagine why. The Best Buy's online revenues fell 14.9% versus last year, with a domestic online revenue of $3.06 billion, decreased 14.9%. Total U.S. online revenue accounted for 31% of all buying, down from 33% last year. Almost every business almost every business in existence today, Best Buy's overall gross profit rate took a hit. The profit was 21.9% in quarter one 2022 versus 23% last year. Lower gross profit was primarily due lower service margins rates, including pressure associated with the $200 Best Buy Total Tech membership offering that they've been. Yeah. Oh, imagine that. Lower product margin rates, including increased promotions, and then higher supply chain costs. So it's more expensive to get the products into the stores to sell them. These pressures were partially offset by higher profit sharing revenue from the company's private label and co-branded credit card arrangement. So I hear that, integrators out there, if you need a little bit of revenue, maybe it's time to start up your own credit card, a private labeled credit card. The company lowered the expectations of its full year 2023 guidance to, they lowered it down. So basically, so this is guidance. It's a range. So they lowered it from 48.3 billion to 49.9 billion. Compared to the previous outlook of 49.3 to 50.8. So it's gone down a little bit. They're not expecting to sell. It doesn't sound like they're expected to have a great rest of the year and moving into 2023. It sounds like they're expecting in the retail channel, at least, to still have these problems. It's kind of what I'm expecting too in the wholesale side of things. We're talking to the manufacturers, and it's not like they're coming to us and saying, yeah, we're going to get products in your hand instantly tomorrow. No. Everyone is talking end of the year, Q4, keep a lookout for stuff that should come in. But I have a feeling like with everything that's going on, and we seem to keep tripping over ourselves as a world for some reason. Like now that stuff with Russia has come up, that's just complicating things. China is on lockdown again. Like this crazy stuff is just going to kind of move with us into 2023, 2024. I think we're still going to be fighting over scraps that long. This is a long-term thing. It really, really sucks. I hate to see it, but it doesn't sound like it's going to get any better anytime soon. TJ, you're shaking your head as a dealer who is probably, you can buy whatever you want these days, right? Like there's no supply chain issues as a dealer.
We don't have a lot of problem with a lot of our stuff, but AV receivers are the biggest thing. I went to spec in an AV receiver for a job the other day, and the only one that I could get was like $2,500 or something. I could go to like Best Buy and buy like a really cheap 5.1 AV receiver, but nothing like middle of the road for like $1,000 or not $2,500.
Right.
So I would imagine that if you do home theaters, that probably cuts into your projects a lot.
Oh yeah.
Seeing how that's the focus of most home theaters.
Yep. Yeah, components, TVs. Yeah, I don't know. TVs seem to have been in supply this year, right? They don't seem to have gone.
Yeah, TVs aren't too bad. Projectors have been kind of going in and out. You can't really find a middle of the road projector right now. I don't think screens have been a big issue, but they're just fabric most of the time. So
right.
But yeah, not really much of a drop though, in my opinion. Nothing to really worry about with how much product has not been available. So
no, it just kind of shows the slowdown or kind of turn, I guess, around the corner, at least on the retail side, because they've Best Buy at least has been through the pandemic and kind of tracking pretty closely along with what integrators were doing in the business, and they were having record profits, and we seem to be doing all right until we started to run into the same problems they are, not being able to get home theater receivers and that kind of thing. So yeah, now we're also seeing, we were just talking about this in the hub today, higher rates, coming in. I'm seeing notices from suppliers, that prices are going to be going up, 8-10% in summer. Like that, there's going to be a drop when that happens. I think it was a couple of them, not just one, but like a few of them have said that there's going to be some price increases on the wholesale level. So that all ends up in the consumer's pocket and says, they're gonna have to decide whether they want to pay that extra 10% for, whatever they're trying to do at the end of the day. Gavin, what about you? I know this stuff doesn't quite affect you up there in Canada as bad as it does down here. But have you been to Best Buy recently? Have you been trying to get any receivers from Best Buy?
I can't remember the last time I've been to a Best Buy. I think the last time I've been to a Best Buy was probably 3 years ago when I got an open box beam from there. But Best Buy is not one of the places I look to go these days. Like whether it's like Costco because of their return policy, I'll go there, or you look online. But Best Buy is not one of the places I look. But it's a shame because through this pandemic and with the shortages going on, I've seen a lot of the smaller companies actually disappear.
Yeah,
a lot of small companies that just they couldn't survive something like this, and they made some good products. They disappeared, but then you see the bigger companies. They had to source their chips from other places, and that could be why things are going up. Is because they have to pay extra from other people for these chips in short supply. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just small ones, big ones. Yamaha, just name Yamaha. Like,
yeah,
I would love to get some Yamaha Pro gear for commercial jobs. That, I mean, people would just love to buy it. They can't get it because Yamaha can't produce it. What's funny, they sent us an announcement. They announced some speakers that they're going to be selling, and they're like, yeah, you'll see them in 4 to 6 months. It literally said that on the press release for the announcement. It's not like, okay, what does that do for me? Like, you don't have any stock now, and it's going to be another 4 to 6 months before we see speakers. Okay. I mean, that's a pretty big company too. Like, it's not like they're small by any means, but man, it just, sometimes it's really tough out there. And, sometimes it hits some companies harder than others. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it. As we always do. I think the supply chain thing is going to be with us for a lot longer than we think, though.
Yeah, and if you heard me laugh a little bit when Seth was talking, it's because the $199 Total Tech membership. I've had a couple not clients yet, but would have been potential clients who turned down like TV installation services or other things because they had this membership, and Best Buy would come out and do it for free. So
Interesting.
joke's on them.
Well, there you go. So they would.
I mean, it's a great deal though.
They would actually. So you pay $199 per year or whatever for that subscription, and then
And then you get certain services for free. And then obviously they can tack on stuff, but I think like a basic TV mount is free. If you buy like an accessory for your car, they'll install it for free as long as it doesn't need additional stuff. So it really does encompass a lot of stuff. But I would assume that you would lose all kinds of money on it. But I'm not Best Buy, so
yeah, they probably kind of know how many people. It's like a gym membership, right? Like, yeah, you have the people that are going to show up every day, and that's very few. And then you have the people like me who are like, yeah, I'm going to the gym and like never show up again. So,
well, and I thought about getting it just because it extends your warranty as well. So they'll actually honor your warranty for like 2 or 3 years or something.
Yeah.
And so that might be worth it if you buy a lot at Best Buy.
That was always kind of a profit center too. Those extended warranty things, we were always encouraged to sell them. So,
yeah, I don't think they cared if Greg is asking what if you bought the TV elsewhere. I don't think they care where you bought the TV. I think you can buy it anywhere. And have them install it. And that's probably obviously different than like, car materials. They probably want you to buy the car stuff there. But they'll come and mount your TV for you. No problem.
I guess it keeps them busy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a cable subscription, right? Like you're paying a little bit of money every month for the cable bill or whatever. And obviously Best Buy is not providing any service every month that you've paid this $199 per year. So if you're not mounting a TV up, but maybe once a year, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like it could kind of pay for itself back to them over a couple of years if you stayed on. I don't know. It seems like it's a voluntary thing too. So you could just pay it for the first year, get your TVs mounted up, and never use it again.
Oh yeah,
Stop
absolutely.
paying. Yeah. Anyway, interesting story there about retail. We'll have to keep an eye on it. And yeah, like I said, I was hoping that I would have gotten a better story off the top, but yeah, it's all uphill from here. Let's talk about some new gear. Linksys unveiled 2 dual-band Wi-Fi 6 routers this week. The Hydra 6 and the Atlas 6 could be an attractive option for those who want higher-end speeds that are on a budget, because these are actually not crazily priced. Both are dual-band, so they'll support the 5G and 2.4G frequencies. The Hydra's more traditional router, so kind of what you think. It has a little base and some little antennas on the side of it. But the Atlas is kind of like more like the other mesh Wi-Fi systems that are out there and kind of look like little towers. The Atlas 6 and the Hydra 6 claim to cover about 2,000 square feet and up to, this is kind of funny, 25 devices, all of 25 devices. Although the Atlas can be bought in packs of 2 or 3, so with each one of those adds another 2,000 square feet and 25 more devices. For smaller households with fewer devices, either one of these can be pretty good options here. For pricing, the Atlas 6, it should sell for about $149 for the single router, $279 for the 2-pack, and $349 for the 3-pack. The Hydra 6 will retail for $179, and both will be available in the U.S. This summer, with global release planned for whenever. Canada, who cares about that? Now, second half of 2022, so sometime in the latter part of the year. It's important to keep in mind these are Wi-Fi 6 and not the Wi-Fi 6E. Not that matters any, because I don't think there's any client devices that are running 6E right now. All your cell phones and everything out there should have Wi-Fi 6, and you get a little faster speeds off of them if you're close enough and connected to one of these systems. So not bad. Linksys does have a Atlas Max 6E. It's a 3-pack for $1,000. So if you wanted that 6E certification label sticker thing on the side, so you can brag to the neighbors, it's going to cost you $1,000. But otherwise, go out and get one of these, $200 systems, and you should be good to go. TJ's shaking his head. Nope.
Don't do it. I don't know if it's gotten any better. I've only set one of these systems up, and it was like 3 years ago, but it took me like 2 hours to set up just a 3-node unit because the app kept having connection issues. So hopefully it's gotten better, but I've sworn them off ever since that incident. So
that'll happen. That's me in Logitech remotes.
Those are the worst too.
I always have to talk about it. Gavin's just cracking up. Gavin, you just shelled out a bunch for Unify systems. Actually, the Unify is probably mostly in line with these prices that I'm looking at here. I mean, it kind of scales up a little bit faster price wise, but I mean, $179, $200 for an access point. That's about what Unify is running these days for a six Wi-Fi 6 access point. Is that what they're doing?
$149 for the Pro, I think.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. Oh, I did a full like rip of my whole network and replaced it. You know, I figured if I'm going to have network problems, let me do it with a high end system. So I just moved from one system to another to have, high end problems. But this story is kind of like a Me Too story. So it's like, yeah, we're having a Wi-Fi 6 too. So here you go. I just don't get this 25 device limit. Especially in this day and age, it's just 25 devices. Like you have 25 devices on your Wi-Fi network before you even move into your house. Between all the smart devices that are now onloading, it's just, I don't like that. I don't know if it's a hardware requirement or are they doing this to sell more of it?
It's definitely hardware.
It better be hard. I wouldn't put it past them if they did this to say, oh, you have to buy more to get more, I hope they're not going down that route.
Well, and that could be it as well, because they do have the $1,000 super fancy one. So, yeah. But I feel like they're just using inexpensive hardware and that's limiting them.
Yeah. And my advice is if you're going to have that limit of 25 devices, just skip on this. Go to something else because you'll reach that 25 device limit quickly.
Ooh, technically I could use this. I'm only at 20 devices right now, so might be ditching my Unify system for it.
Oh, wait till you have some visitors come over. Then you're at 29 devices, and who gets bumped? Who gets bumped? Who do you not like?
Nobody has visitors over.
Just
anymore.
don't let them on your Wi-Fi. Problem solved.
My guest network has 25 devices.
That's funny. Yeah, I think for like even a travel router, like it's not that bad of a deal. It's a little bit big, but it's not that bad of a deal for that kind of device. But yeah, 25 devices is kind of on the low end. And the way these access point things work is early on, the higher end companies, the people who are actually making their everything all the way through get the chips from whatever Wi-Fi vendor is making the chips, and they start making their boards and everything and developing their products and antennas. When those get rolled out, that's generally the first wave of things. So like if something doesn't exist today that has Wi-Fi 6, that means they didn't really make the product, or they just took a long time to make it. Because I think at this point, everybody is on Wi-Fi 6 that I can think of that makes their own stuff. Like even eero has Wi-Fi 6, like all over the place now. And maybe even Wise. It's like there's rumors that Wise is going to have a mesh routing system. So, I mean, anyway, what happens is over time, those vendors chew up all those resources and everything, but it makes the chips cheaper. And companies like Wise can come in and make their own routers. So here you have Wise, TP-Link, Linksys, whatever, they're going to make their own thing. So
Wi-Fi routers and security systems, get into it while it's hot.
That's what they
Everybody's got one. If you don't have one yet, you need to get one. Make your own brand.
Funny. Yeah, we can come up with our own HomeTech branded. Yeah.
I don't see why we don't sell smart home products by now.
It's there's only 2 connected devices at a time, though. We're not going to let you connect anywhere.
You got to get in early and get in quick with your device before Wise can make it cheaper.
No, we'll just buy Wise devices, put our sticker on there, double the price.
Just acetone the label off. It'd be fine. Yeah. Just tell them use the Wise app to set it up.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It works with Wise.
Oh, there you go.
It's a device that works with Wise.
Works with
Wise.
First
certified Wise device.
The first WizNet certified.
WizNet certified. Beautiful. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to use these. I have 33 connected devices right now, so something's got to take off.
You'll need to buy 2.
Yeah.
2 separate networks.
2. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. I'm not in the market for one of these. Definitely not in the market for one of these. So, anyway, moving on here. Speaking of new products here, speaking of eero, actually, eero announced this week that you can give other people on your network admin access, right from the eero app now. With the new multi-admin feature, you can share the responsibility of setting up parental controls or setting family members' network from your own device. So it's kind of common and kind of neat. The new feature makes it easy to add up to 10 people as admins on your network so they can manage the features and settings. Those admins will be able to see your name, but they can't delete the network, remove devices, manage subscriptions, or Amazon connected stuff. It can't add or remove other admins either. So it's kind of like a limited admin, not quite an admin, but kind of like power user or something like that. But I don't know. I think this is nice. New feature, software thing, gets rolled into eero. Makes sense to me. Gavin, what do you think about this?
It's a cool feature, but like I don't like the fact that it's still limited, because when you're an admin, you want to be able to do everything, right? Because you never know what roadblock you'll run up against. I currently manage 2 eero networks, my neighbor's network and my mom's network, and they just give me their accounts. I log in and I take care of whatever they need to take care of. But it's a cool feature to add, but they should not call it admin. It should be like multi-power user or something like that.
Yeah, we gave you another user that has added functionality. Congratulations. I wish more companies did this, though, just because I run into a situation a lot where like the husband and wife maybe want to have their own accounts, but only one of them has like the master control. So it would be nice to give both users, the full control of everything. I just wish everybody would do it. Like the security systems and stuff like that. Right now, you can do, where you give somebody control of all the devices, but they can't make all the same changes that the master user can do. So bring this out, software people. Doesn't seem that hard. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So sometimes you have like the owner account, and then you have the admins that exist underneath it. And really, the only thing you can't do, traditionally, the only thing you shouldn't be able to do is delete the owner account, but you should be able to transfer it. So that's kind of nice if you can do that. I don't know too much about this one, or how eero sets up. I did have to go set up somebody's eero once, and I still have it on my phone, like their app and everything on my phone. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Like it doesn't need to be me. I don't want to look at your internet traffic or anything like that, but here it is. It's on my phone still.
Well,
months later.
The funny thing about this update too is actually it was a couple weeks ago, but I never even knew about it until this week when eero emailed me about it. So, yeah.
Oh,
had no idea it was even a thing.
Here we go. I feel like they have this kind of already with the pro side stuff, because they have like a pro dashboard that you can get into, and it kind of gives you admin features over the top of everything. So, I mean, it's just expansion of features. It's always nice to get that kind of stuff rolled out, so to speak.
And I think on the pro side, you had to actually delete your whole network and then add it into that pro section. I forget who told me about that, but they have it so that someone can manage multiple accounts.
Yeah, way more limited too.
Yeah. It's so you can switch back and forth between either remotely helping out or remotely diagnosing issues and that kind of thing. It's kind of the same idea that you would use a Unify system with, but on a smaller scale, I guess. I don't know, on a different brand altogether. Yeah. Anyway, it's always nice to get new features. So, all right. Well, here's a story about mattering. I guess again, it kind of kicks off a discussion that we're going to have here with TJ about something he's done. But Samsung announced a new partner early access program for Smartthings smart home platform that allows companies such as Eve Systems and Aqara to start testing their Matter-compatible devices. The company says this new testing program allows manufacturers the opportunity to test their devices with Matter interoperability with Samsung Smartthings hub-enabled devices through the Smartthings app. The new program is a complement to, not a replacement of, the official Matter certification through the CSA, which is only the testing devices that have to go in order to use the Matter logo. So this is like an additional Samsung thing that they're doing to say the Matter device that's already got the Matter certification works with their stuff too, and it'll have a little man. This sounds like they're trying to make this into a mess. Because
typical Samsung. They have to take something that already exists,
put their name on it,
and add their own flair to it to make it worse.
Is it going to be like a stamp where it's like this Matter device works with Smartthings, and then works with Amazon and works with Google, and we're going to get into that again?
It sounds like they're like, okay, this is a little certification that they're putting on top of Matter devices to say, thumbs up, works with Smartthings. But that should already be the case, right?
Once it's Matter compatible.
Yeah, I thought that was the whole
point. So
if it works with Matter, it should work with Smartthings.
Oh man, my thing is Matter compatible, but it's not Smartthings Matter compatible, so I can't use it.
Time to get rid of your Smartthings. Move to Hubitat.
So
never.
So that brings us to a little conversation that we have with TJ, because he dropped the bombshell in the
Made
hub.
some people angry.
Yeah. And Gavin's over here just living. He's just drinking.
He's like, why would you do that?
No.
You're pretty livid.
I'm not
crazy.
Livid. Do what works for you. That's what I always say to people.
So yeah, TJ, you've moved from Hubitat over to Smartthings. It seems. What caused this? What were you thinking? What's going on, man? What can we do to help?
So I like to move around, right? One of the advantage of all the stuff that I have bought for my smart home is that it is Z-Wave and Zigbee only. So one of the advantages is that whenever I get bored of the hub or the interface is that I can just change my hub and I get a different hub. I repair all the devices and I'm good to go, right? I got a Hubitat hub probably about 5 or 6 months ago. I've used it. I just haven't been that happy with it. I would say half of my use case is literally just through my phone, opening the application and turning something on or off. And then 25% is, voice control. And the other 25% maybe is automation. So a Hubitat just didn't fit within my needs for the smart home, but I'm also not using it as a complex smart home controller either. I'm basically just using it as a glorified smart switch for my phone. So I've actually been looking for a Smartthings hub for a couple of months now. Haven't really found anything in stock. Mentioned something in the hub the other day, and Jimmy was like, hey, they got them on Amazon right now. And I went out and just bought one instantly. And the beautiful thing is I just reset everything on the Hubitat and I repaired it to the Smartthings controller, and they all worked within like an hour. And I had my automation set up. Everything was instant with the application. It just works better for my use case.
All right. Hard to argue with that. I mean, it's what you wanted. Works better for you. All right.
If it makes anybody feel better, I've tried them all at this point, and they all suck in their own way, and they're all good in their own way. So you really just have to find out which one you like the best, and just make sure you pick devices that are compatible with a wide range of things. That's the reason I chose Z-Wave and Zigbee, is that they work with anything. So I don't have to worry about compatibility or anything like that.
I feel like Smartthings has gone through the tough, like, if I remember correctly, Gavin, maybe you can set me straight, or maybe TJ too. I don't know. Like, Smartthings started off almost as like it was a DIY project. It was before Samsung even owned them, right? They were just kind of like a DIY thing that they kind of had a particular way that you could set stuff up and program using kind of this weird JavaScript-y language thing. Groovy, that's what it was. And it was like, people really liked it because I guess they had a lot of radios inside of their product. It was kind of like the Stables Connect or whatever. It had connect to just about anything through Smartthings. And then Samsung snaps them up, and I don't want to say, but like grown-ups get in charge of things, and they're like, this is great. We're going to run this for a little bit, but we need to make some changes. And then like a couple of years later, they made like this huge change, and it like just made a bunch of people mad. And it seems like that is what a lot of home says. Like, I can point to the Apple HomeKit ecosystem. That really hasn't happened with Apple, right? Like they haven't gone from like the first generation product that they had and said, okay, we messed up. let's scrap everything and flip the switch. And maybe they don't have to, I don't know. Maybe they kind of learned from those lessons of everybody else and set the system up a little bit differently. But it seems like that when you have to do that and you can mature your product by making that tough decision to like cut off older product, cut off older integrations, just kind of move on. Home Assistant just recently has gone through something like that. It seems like that, to me at least, is a signal that, okay, the platform, it's been around long enough. The people running it know what they're doing enough and have run into all the edge cases with the way they're doing it now. And they have made a decision to set this thing up for the future. And it seems like Samsung's done that for Smartthings. At least that's what I'm seeing. I don't know. Either one of you can kind of chime in and correct me there.
No, I like where you went with that. Like when I first started, I started off with HomeKit. And I just found HomeKit was too basic for me. Like for the simple use cases, it was great, but I just found it was way too basic. So then I went into Smartthings, and I love the power of Smartthings, but I just found like they got overcomplicated with their IDE because you had to go into one website to do something and another site to do something else. It just got really complicated, but I liked what they did. And that's when Hubitat eventually started at that point, and I jumped on early with Hubitat. And it made sense because they centralized a lot of the stuff. It all ran off the hub. I learned Groovy, and that's where the power came. Was once I learned Groovy, I could do pretty much anything I wanted in the hub. They opened up so much more in terms of calls, communication, and that's why I'm a Hubitat fan. Now, I'll agree, their interface isn't the most friendliest. They don't have a pretty app on the phone. I totally agree. That's some of the gripes people over the years have brought up, but I don't think that's their main concern right now. They're into automation. They want you to set things up to happen automatically. They don't want you to have to use an app. But a lot of people still want that app interface to control things, to look at things, so it's a battle. They're a very small team. I'd like to see them expand and get someone dedicated to fixing their app, their dashboards. There's a few like visual things they can work on and just make the experience much better. But it's a very powerful platform. If you want to, you learn Groovy and you want to develop your own apps, you develop your own drivers. You could do so much with that little box.
And correct me if I'm wrong here. Hubitat was born out of Smartthings. Like somebody was mad about a Smartthings limitation, then they made a thing that sat over the top of Smartthings and eventually just kind of came its own.
Well, they made their own hub, and the hub was compatible with all the Smartthings drivers. So instantly all the drivers could easily be ported over, and it had compatibility with so many things, right? And yes, it was a group of people. I don't know the exact history, but it seems like they had issues with Smartthings or the company or how things were being run and just decided to start their own thing. And you know what? I've been there since like pretty much since the day they launched it publicly.
Yeah, and I knew about a lot of what I call the downsides to Hubitat, before I went into it. I did a lot of research on it. I basically knew exactly what I was getting into. But I'm one of those people that I can't make an opinion on something until I actually try it and play with it myself. And I'm glad I did. It's still here in the house. I can use it at some point, if I want to again. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that's the beautiful thing about hubs is that you can switch and change to something else whenever you want to.
Yeah, very cool. It sounds like, TJ, that you're going to be a Matter man. Because that's where this is all headed, and it sounds like you should be
Matter
able
household.
Yeah, right. You should be able to swap out your hub no matter what you wanted to do. You just have to reset all your devices and bring them back over to whatever is new. So you had to go through that process now, right? From going to Hubitat back over to Smartthings.
Yeah, and I probably make it harder on myself too because I literally just factory reset the Hubitat hub, and then I just factory reset all my devices and rejoined. A couple of that devices it was harder for. Like I have a Philips Hue Bluetooth light that also has Zigbee built into it as well. And I had it paired directly to the Hubitat hub. Well, come to find out, there's not actually a way to factory reset the light bulb without one of the dimmers, the hub, the Philips Hue bridge hub thing, or Amazon Alexa. But luckily, my light bulb had Bluetooth built into it, so I was able to use the Bluetooth Philips Hue app and factory reset it that way. But everything else was relatively easy to reset, and it maybe took me a couple hours. But then I had, like I said, I had all my automations and everything running within a couple hours of switching everything over. So pretty easy switch in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, that's one thing you mentioned is that it was a lot easier, at least quicker for you to set up the automations within Smartthings than it was over with Hubitat.
Yeah, and it's one of those systems where, like, you know, if I want my wife to add something to the system, it's not going to be like I don't have to explain it to her necessarily. I can just say, you know, open the app and add the plus, you know, hit the add symbol or whatever, and then just add it that way. Whereas Hubitat, it's like, well, you have to go to the website and then you have to go to this and do this, and it's just more cumbersome for that. But if you're just the one messing with it all the time, you know how to do it, then that's obviously not a problem. But I like my stuff to be accessible to everybody. So
yeah, I thought I was doing that here with the HomeKit thing, and still, it's like, hey, can you turn off the light? I'm like, Siri, turn off the light. You just have to yell at the thing over there, and it does it.
You become the Seth. Can you ask Siri to turn off the light?
Exactly. Yep. I don't know.
Yeah, voice control is luckily the savior of the house because that is the easiest thing to use at this point.
Yep. All right. Well, cool. We'll have to keep an eye on your Hubitat, or sorry, your Smartthings experiment here. And then I wonder what, you know, by the time this fall comes out and Matter gets released, like what will the Matter man switch to? Like he's gonna,
who knows? Maybe there'll be a new Matter hub that I can switch to.
I have a feeling there's going to be all sorts of junk related to Matter that's going to come out towards the end of this year. Oh man, I'm kind
of hoping the Matter does push out, you know, some better hub options, because really there's not a lot of good options for consumers. You know, we've all, you know, beat the drum on Home Assistant, Hubitat, and Smartthings, but really those are the only three, minus this one we're about to talk about here in a moment. But there's not really any hubs out there for just regular consumers. So hopefully Matter brings out a couple more hub options for people.
Yeah.
But I assume it's just not a big profitable market at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't have this lined up to talk about as just kind of a note in here that Fibaro came out with a new Home Center 3. First off, didn't know that they had a Home Center 2, Home Center 1, or Home Center at all.
Or that it was so expensive.
Yeah, how much is this thing? 800, you said?
I think it's like 800 MSRP.
Yeah. So I guess it's a dealer-centric product. I've come across Fibaro, but I've never come across this product in particular. So I didn't even know they had this going on. This is interesting.
Well, and I didn't even know Fibaro had like a dealer-only section.
Yeah, that too.
Like they have what most people probably know them for is that little like eyeball motion sensor they have that is really cool looking. I think it's like $50 or $60. Mm-hmm. But anybody can buy those.
And they're like different. I remember they had like little mini light toggle, like light switch kind of control things. Maybe like in the Shelly form factor before Shelly was really around. I don't know. It's interesting. I didn't know. I have to check this out because I didn't really know that it existed. But for $800, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't really see what you get with that. I mean, it's Zigbee and Z-Wave, and then whatever their eero platform is. But if you look at the specifications, it's Z-Wave 500, which is already 2 generations behind. So I'm not sure why you're going to buy an $800 hub that's already super old.
Gavin's going to have an aneurysm. He's been pumping up the 700. He's like, you got to get the 700, get on the 700. And this guy,
it's much better.
Well, like if you're buying Z-Wave devices right now, make sure they have the 700 chip. It's faster, it's better, it's a better range, better battery life, etc., etc. And they're working on the 800 chips. So I mean, like, this is one generation behind because the 800 chip is one generation ahead, right? But the 500s, I noticed there's a number of companies out there that still have the 500s, and they're still releasing 500 series chips because I think it's easier for them to get those chips right now too than it is the 700 series. So we may still see some of those products, but it's not the end of the world. 500 is not the end of the world.
It is for an $800 project.
I guess so, yeah.
Interesting. I know that Nice is a bigger company. I can't remember who.
They own everything at this point.
Didn't they buy the Nortec brands or something like that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that which owns 2GIG and Elan. They also own Adobe or Abode. That's what it is.
So maybe that's what that extra radio frequency band is for like the 2GIG contact sensors and that kind of thing. Maybe.
I don't think so, but they're calling it something different. Because they just call the other one like encrypted or E-series, I think. This is like I've never heard of eero, but I also didn't know they had their own hub, so
Yeah.
Probably a ton of stuff I don't know about them.
We'll have to investigate this one a little bit more because they've been around for a long time, and they have a pretty good name in the industry, or at least in the DIY space. Like people know of them, and they have that weird eyeball thing. So gotta give them credit for that, I guess.
It is pretty sweet looking. I always wanted one, but I never wanted to spend the money on it.
It turns red if it sees you or something like that. Yeah. They're even their security like everything that they make is kind of has like a nice design to it too. Like I'm looking at their security system contacts, and they come in like different colors, and like they're nice and glossy. They look like suppositories, but it looks nice when you put it up on the window. So I don't know, it doesn't stand out. 4, 5, 6, 7 different colors this thing comes in. That's kind of wild that you can have a choice there. For 7 different colors for a basic door window contact sensor. I mean,
man, nice should extend that to the 2 gig stuff, so that way I can get more than just white security contacts.
Right, that's what I was just thinking.
A brown one or something.
No, this has 2 different shades of maybe a yellow and a brown, or a brownish yellow and a black. 2 different blacks, 2 different grays. Yeah, this is quite the offering here. It's Apple HomeKit and Z-Wave compatible. There you go. Oh well, maybe one day we'll have nice things. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on here. All the links and topics we've discussed tonight can be found on our show notes at HomeTech.fm/389. All right, pick of the week. Kind of an interesting one here. Let me put it up on the screen. Share the Chrome tab and this video. So Gavin had some crazy windstorm thing come through. And where I'm from, they call this a hurricane. So I don't know what you guys are trying to prove here, but this is a Canadian hurricane if I've ever seen one before.
No, we had for those that may watch the Weather Network or those type of things, right? We had a freak storm come across Ontario this week, and by the time it hit me in Pickering, the winds were strong enough that they were blowing over trees in our neighborhood, but it kept intensifying as it went east. And by the time the video you're looking at is actually in Ottawa, by the time it hit them, it looks like a hurricane
for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
It did a lot more damage than when it hit me. So it was a weird storm because we got like an Amber Alert on our phone saying storm, incoming, find shelter now. And I looked outside and it was sunny out. We were all confused. I was at Home Depot, but I still loaded things up quickly and raced home. And yeah, we got hail, winds, damaging winds. Greg lost shingles. I saw pictures. A lot of people lost shingles. Actually, I think I found a few of my neighbor's shingles
in my Greg.
Yard. Yeah. But it was a weird storm that just came out of nowhere. Apparently, it came from the States, so we'll blame you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it came up from the States and just intensified. So that's that video is actually crazy. And there's still people without power right now.
I thought y'all only got snowstorms up there. I didn't realize you got actual storms.
Oh, this is like this is our warm weather snowstorm. So we got hail.
There you go. So you lost power, you said.
Yes.
So what was that like? Like living in a smart home that's just boring? Is that?
Well, no, like when you lose power, your smart home's dead, right? Like there's nothing working at that point, right? But what happened is we lost our internet connection, we lost cable, we even lost our cell phone signal. So even our cell phones were all like disconnected, right? So it was kind of weird. But I still watch my local media, so I kind of caught up on a few TV shows. But in terms of the smart home, because again, I'm a Hubitat person, everything's running local. It was amazing to see how most of my stuff still worked just based around planning. So all my automations were still kicking in. I lost certain cloud things like the voice assistants. I lost those didn't work, but I could still access some of my local dashboards. It was great to see that when you don't have a cloud dependency, these things still work when you lost your internet connection, because that happens, right? And the wife, we didn't even notice because the wife, she still manually she still controlled things, but even when the evening scene kicked in, things still turned on and off as needed, right? Like it was great, and I felt good that I have a Hubitat and it's all local like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I've made those plans. Like, I have local media. I've backed up all my DVDs and put them on a nice little server where I can watch them anywhere. Also it gives me the ability, like, if we lose internet, I'm not relying on Netflix or anything like that. I can just watch my DVDs or UPS or whatever. And the problem that we have here is, like, I lose power as well for like a week. So that didn't help the last hurricane that came through. And I was hoping at some point that the power would come back on. I'd have access to all of my media again. But by the time the power came back on, the internet was back up too. So it didn't really matter too much for me. But yeah, local control, local planning, and that kind of thing. It's something smart to think about, because you don't ever want to be like stuck with like your home not working for some reason, because your internet connection's down, which is, it makes things boring. But if you plan around a little bit, maybe you can. It's possible to keep the entertainment going, I guess.
And that's some of the things when I'm buying a new product, that's some of the things I evaluate is like, what happens when, how is this connecting in, and what happens if I lose my internet connection? And that's one of the reasons why I kind of try and stick to Z-Wave or Zigbee, is because they still work. Right. Even my camera setup still work because there's no cloud dependency on that. It was all goes to my Blue Iris. It's all local. It was still recording the storms and everything like that. So it was great. And when you buy a product, look at what's going to happen when you lose your internet connection. Is like your irrigation system. I'm pretty sure that's not important to you if you lose your internet, right? So that's fine.
Not in that storm. Holy moly!
Yeah. And thermostats for the most still work when they lose their connectivity, right? Like, they're not going to stop working. So that's fine. But if you have light switches that are all like, if you have light bulbs that only work when they're cloud connected, you're gonna have some upset people in your house when they can't turn on and off the light just like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I always think of whenever I see people doing like the smart bulbs instead of like switches. Like, man, whenever you have a power outage or internet outage, something like that, it is just gonna wreak havoc on anything.
Yeah,
can't turn on my lights right now because the internet's out.
Yeah, I think there's mostly an override for that. But the point is, like, if you had like a internet connected switch or something that was supposed to talk to these lights, that would be a problem. So yeah, it's just something to think about when you're setting things up. How does this work? And you know what is a good test? Just go to your router and just unplug the internet and see, like, walk around and poke at things and see what works and what doesn't work. I do that from time to time, not on purpose, but because the Comcast internet just drops out here for some reasons. So like I can go around and poke at things and see, oh, this doesn't work. This doesn't work the way I thought it was going to. This isn't a good backup solution, that kind of thing. Same thing with Greg was posting earlier about the UPS that he set up. Same thing with that. It's always a good idea to unplug power into the UPS from time to time, just to make sure it does actually work the way it says it's going to work. Because I have had those just like shut completely off. It's like, oh, yeah, they're either batteries are dead or the UPS electronics inside are bad or something. So just test those things for power outages and you should be good to go.
Yeah, my Unraid server sits on a UPS, and when power is cut, it will run until a certain percentage, and then it all gracefully shuts down all the VMs and everything. And that's for safety and everything. And I also even have my Hubitat hub sits on a UPS, because if their power is cut, it affects the database, but it's not a UPS, it's just a little battery pack I plug it into. And it actually lasts for 5-6 hours easily. I've never seen it like die. But it just keeps the power going to that, when I lose power, so it doesn't like corrupt the database.
Right. Yeah. My, I think I have a Ring alarm, and I think it has a battery pack in it or something. And what's funny is when you lose, internet connectivity, it'll reach out through its cellular backup and email you and say, hey, you've lost cellular, but my phone is on the local network, which doesn't get out or get new emails. So it's kind of like, oh, I don't really get those emails until I figure out that the internet's down, turn off my Wi-Fi, and start getting cellular connectivity back. But yeah, at that point, I already know that there's no internet at the house. It's kind of a useless feature. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, picks of the week, or great ideas for a show, give us a shout. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm, or you can visit HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right, Gavin, speaking of Unraid, servers.
Got to get a talking to.
Guy says 6.10 is out. Go press the update button. Some idiot goes and like, yeah, I'm going to press the button. And guess what, man? Everything, it's gone. No, it's not. It wasn't that bad. But it destroyed, it didn't destroy anything. It destroyed the configuration, I guess. I don't know what happened. I eventually figured it out. And then there was a button that I pressed. It was like, oh, upgrade the certificates, because I think that was a big feature that they were talking about too, to make it like a secure connection. And so your browser doesn't complain every time you connect to it. And, that just hosed everything. I had to reboot to like safe mode and all sorts of fun stuff to even get that to come back alive. And I just went in and kind of deleted that thing and got it back up and going. But man, that took out that was the longest one. And the worst part of it is that was like Saturday night, like early in the morning. Or Friday night, early in the morning, like 2:00 in the morning. Whenever I'm poking around at this stuff. And, Saturday morning is like, my daughter's going to wake up at 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and then want to watch cartoons. And nobody else wants to get up. So how do I, I'm like, I have to fix this, or I'm going to catch hell. Like, there's going to be nothing for her to watch. So I had to stay up and fix it. But I did. Thanks, Gavin. Thanks, man. Thanks.
I saw the upgrade button. And I was wondering what was going to happen when you pressed it. And fortunate enough, I tricked you into doing it. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks for taking one for the team.
We found out what happened. But to be fair, I eventually kicked upgrade on my backup Unraid server, which is a very simple server. It was already running release candidate 8, and I just said, let me go to the stable version. And after I hit upgrade, it would not boot anymore. And the only way I could fix that was to rebuild the key, restore the config. They obviously have issues. They're working through it. I'm not even touching my primary server until they come out with another couple releases, because there's a lot of people in their forums complaining about it right now. Just issues upgrading it, and the keys not booting anymore, or hardware not being found after a reboot or something like that. So if you're an Unraid person, you're brave enough, let us know what experience you had when you clicked that upgrade button, and if you haven't upgraded yet, go for it. It's perfectly fine. Just let us know what happens.
Just don't do it at a particular, do it when you have plenty of time. You got nothing else to do for the next couple hours, and nothing has to come out of the server for the next day or so. Just do it then. And I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's hilarious. When we were talking about this update last week on the show, I actually was in the process of updating it as you guys were talking about it. And I was like, I better not update it right now because the wife's probably watching something. And so I didn't do it. I totally forgot about it. And I'm so glad that I did not.
Unraid has a history. When they come out with the major releases, there's a lot of issues, and it goes through.
Why didn't you sell this last?
Because I really wanted to know what happened when you click that upgrade button, how well it works. So because when they came out with 6.9, there was a lot of activity in the forums of issues and stuff, and now they have 6.9.2 where it's settled down, right? So
wait for that point release.
They came out with 10.1, but I'm still waiting on the 10.2.
Oh, did they? I'll go upgrade right now.
Yeah. Let me know what happens.
I thought I was going to give Gavin a heart attack earlier when I said that I switched from Hubitat to Smartthings, and I was going to move from Unraid to Synology. Just killing all his hopes and dreams over there.
Yeah, I still haven't I think I have figured out, and this will be another show, but I think I figured out what I'm going to do with the server situation that I have that doesn't that I can't use very well because it's got these
another government
blow
auction.
dryer fans built into it. Yeah. I don't know. I've got my use out of it, and I've actually gotten my money back by selling the two, what are they called?
Switches?
I don't know. They were they weren't switches. They were routers. Sonic walls. I had two Sonic walls that I sold. So basically for all the money that I had paid for these things, like in these 9 servers or whatever I got, like 6 servers and Sonic walls and a PoE switch. I feel like I've gotten my money back, but I haven't gotten my money back from like all the upgrades and random things that I've done, like 3 different hard drives. But with Unraid, what's nice about that, and Gavin, you kind of like, what kind of convinced me is like, I can take those drives out and keep them in order, but in theory, I should be able to move those over to a new machine, plug them in, plug the USB stick in, boot up, and Unraid should be fairly agnostic as to what happens there. So
yeah, Unraid maps it based on the serial number of the drive, but I know in your system it kind of does something weird with the serial numbers, so you gotta be wary of that and how to switch the serial numbers. But I've done it a number of times where I just picked up the drives, the eSATA card, plopped it in a new machine, booted up with the key, it saw all the same drives and started up the array perfectly fine.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think I have an idea what I'm going to try and do by scavenging some of the parts that I have. I'm like, I realized that I was sitting around like, I have 90% of what I need here today to make the computer I actually want and not the server thing. Although I do lose some features on the server thing, that like it has this lights out feature where it's just a separate, it's almost a computer built into it. And it gets the, like you basically gets the screen, like I can remote into this thing if it's crashed and fix it. Like it's pretty wild because it's an entire separate computer built onto the motherboard inside this. It's really cool. All the bigger servers have that, but like if you go to a just a standard, ATX motherboard, it's not on there. You don't have that kind of feature. So anyway, I think I have an idea, but I just thought about it today while I was sitting doing nothing somewhere. I was like, oh wait, I have parts. I have parts and pieces. I can piece something together, and it just went from there. Just snowballed from there. So
it's amazing when you have parts just sitting around. Someone actually asked me today if I had a way to connect an IDE drive into their computer. They have an old IDE drive, and surprisingly, I had an IDE to USB connector cable, right? That I will give them.
I do
too. I always keep that around. You never know when it will come in handy. When your wife looks at that box of wires in your basement, she's like, why are you keeping this crap around? Throw it out. Today is one of those days when I look at her, I go, this is why I kept this around.
What is that?
Yeah, she had no clue why, but I say, this is why.
This literally cost me. I had the same situation, but it cost me $20 on Amazon to get a new one. So it's like all that pain that you kept it for 10 years. But yeah, it's there on Amazon for $20, and you can get it in a day.
That's what's happened to me. I have 3 of those now. So
yeah. I have one too. It's sitting right behind me. I connected it to both drives. One of them spun up and made this crunching sound, which was amazing. I should have recorded that. And the other one just didn't spin up at all and just kind of looked at me. I was like, no. So nothing came of those drives that we had sitting around since college, and I was able to just toss them into the bin. So there you go.
This is why.
Yeah. This is the way. All right. We want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our patron page. If you don't know about our patron page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a shout out on the show, but every pledge gets you an invite to our private Slack chat, The Hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day and I just look at faceplates that should not exist. Like,
so good though.
5 gang faceplates installed sideways because there wasn't enough room on the wall. There's 2 of them next to each other. That was the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen, TJ. It literally gave people heart attacks in the hub. Like we had to. This is so gross. Oh man! So now I get to put that in our show notes.
It's so good.
It's going
to tank our SEO rating.
There's that one with the vertical switches, and then let's see here.
Wait, it looks like there's more in the back room there. Like,
there's switches everywhere. The person got paid by the switch, so.
Oh, clearly.
And then we have this one. Oh,
chef's
so
kiss right there. Yeah. So
8 switches in a row. 2 of them are dimmers. I love it.
I love it. The fact that they couldn't find an 8 dimmer, 8-switch plate, and so they just cut one down and slapped it next to the other one, just kind of like
It
ground
would bother me so much if that was my house.
It's crooked in the middle, like it doesn't line up.
Luckily, the homeowner was very nice, and we were able to make fun of it together. So.
Yeah, that's so funny. Anyway, yeah, if you're in the hub, you get to see those. You get to see those beautiful pictures that TJ took and posted in the hub there. Well, let's see. If you want to help out the show but can't support financially, totally understand. We just appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or a positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. That wraps up another week here at HomeTech. For everyone here, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
See you later, alligators.
See you later.
See you later.
See you later. Can you, TJ? What are those big lizards they have here?
Iguanas?
No, the big lizards, the ones that like live on golf courses and stuff in Florida.
Big ones.
I
only know the small ones. The anoles are iguanas.
The Lacoste, it's on the shirt.
What are you talking about?
The ones they're always running around the golf courses. They're in like the Amazon and stuff.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Alligators, Greg said.
Say that again. Just say.
Greg said alligators.
There we go.
There we go.
I can edit that in.
Yep, alligators.
What? You can see you later, alligators.
Wow. Y'all are ridiculous.
What if there's only one of them, TJ, on the course? What are they called again?
I ain't saying it.
Oh, we're editing that in.
Oh.